We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We reject indecision, confusion, and vanity, for they work against the community. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Rob, and you're listening to episode number 344. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes of your day with us.
Absolutely, we greatly appreciate it. And today we've got a great question on how you could potentially prepare for this 107 exam that is coming up. But we wanted to show you a few things we did for the FAA. We greatly appreciate everything that they do, and we wrote them some thank you notes. So check it out. I know we all love the FAA so much, so I thought I would send them some thank you cards. Give them some gratitude. I think it's a good idea. So, got my thank you cards. Notice they say thank you on them. Dear FAA, thank you for letting my 8-year-old fly his drone without regulations and keeping those pesky commercial operators out of his way. Thank you, FAA, for implementing the need for a pilot's license, because flying a Cessna is identical to flying a quadcopter. Dear FAA, thank you for sending enforcement guidance to local police, who doesn't already have enough to do. Thank you, FAA, for all of your hard work and diligence. I know it may not be rational at times, but we do appreciate being left in the dark. So, Rob, what'd you think of that?
You know what? It's really important to be appreciative.
I agree.
And they're working hard for us.
They
and
really
honestly,
are.
in all seriousness, they really are.
Yeah, they
We're
are.
having a little fun, but we know they're working hard, and we hope that there's going to be some results from that hard work very, very soon. That's what we're all hoping.
Definitely.
So if you're not thinking along the lines of what Ryan's thinking in his question about how do I get ready for the 107, you're going to get, well, maybe not left behind, but you're going to be behind. So I really like the way Ryan's approaching this and saying, what do I need to do now in order to be ready for when it comes out? And I think that's going to make him more successful than maybe the next guy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And there are certain things that you could be doing to get ready. Now, are we going to have all the answers to this? Probably not. Things could change. I mean, they could have different requirements. They could change things up. We just don't know. But are there general things that you could do to get ready, get prepared for the 107? I think so.
I would say the one constant is something that you harp on in a positive way. That sounds negative, but it's not meant to be negative.
Well, it depends on which harp you're talking about, because Harp the beer is really good.
Okay, well, that's another good one. But what I'm talking about is flying, right? So that's kind of and I know that's
the
not
deliberate practice model
Absolutely.
of practicing when flying.
I know that's not what Ryan is talking about, but it's something that we need to mention just about every time this kind of question comes up. Fly, 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 and, do the right kind of practice. It's like I practice a crappy golf swing, so I maintain a crappy golf swing. You got to practice the right way.
That's true. If you need some practice help, we've got some stuff on the site for you, some practice drills, things that you can do. Actually, all of those new drills, because I added a bunch. I only had, I think it was 4 or 5 drills in Don't Crash before. We just added a couple more of them. So the new Don't Crash course, including the DJI Phantom 4, will have those drills in there. If you haven't watched that, make sure you check that out. But he asked a good question. How can I mentally prepare for the 107? What are things that I should know or things I should be prepared to know in order to be tested? Because if you've got a great knowledge base of information, then you should be able to go in there in the CAT Center and push those tests out, right?
Absolutely. And so I would think, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, one way to start is to read and understand the 107.
Yes.
It's actually pretty easy to read. I mean, it's the language that's used. It's not like some of the the other regulations and so forth that are out there. That's check out part this and then go over here to part this. It's a pretty straightforward read in terms of what they're going to be asking for.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that's definitely correct. Now, one of the things that I think that should we just jump right in this question? Should we play the question, let them know?
I guess we better play the question.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and play the question.
Details.
Today's question is brought to you by... Are you a drone pilot? Are you operating under a Section 333 exemption? Then you may be familiar with Item 27, which requires you to get a property release for every flight over property.
Legal Flyer is an app for iPhone and iPad that helps you create professional property releases in less time than it takes to do a pre-flight check.
You can add your pilot info, you can sign in, hand it to the property owner for their signature. But wait a second. Legal Flyer's advanced integration automatically adds latitude, longitude, and even altitude.
Then add a panorama straight from the app. Everything drops into a single-page PDF you can share with a single tap. It's compliance at light speed. Visit LegalFlyer.com for more information or get it straight from the App Store. Legal Flyer, property releases for professional drone pilots.
My question today is about the up-and-coming Part 107 rules. I'd like to know what you guys think I should be doing right now to prepare for whatever, test or red tape they're going to have that will be required, that you'll be required to pass or to become certified. My goal is to be certified as soon as possible once the rules are in place. So anyway, thanks for all you guys do, and I wanted to let you know that you are by far the most informative resource I have found for all things drone related. Thanks. God bless.
Let's get in it. We are about to get in it right away. Let's get right in it. What are things people should know? I think you should be able to know how to read an air chart, an aeronautical chart. You should be able to read airspace. It's a very important thing. It's an easy thing to do once you know how to do it. You'll understand what magenta circles mean, the blue circles. You'll understand differences in airspace depending on locations. And you'll really understand the entire upside-down cake philosophies. What do they mean? Why is it important? Why does that affect you as a pilot? Again, don't really focus on the drone aspect of it. Just focus on knowing airspace and being able to read a chart, being able to understand really just basics about airspace and maybe communications with the tower. I think that's really important. Another thing to really understand really well is the AFD. The AFD is the Airport Field Directory, I believe it is. I think it's Airport Field Directory. That is a great thing to understand and know as well. What information can you get from that? Why is that important? This is something that you would learn if you got your pilot's license, your PPC, your ultralight, your hot air balloon, whatever it is, you would learn that. Another thing I think would be really important is just understanding the basics of the 107. We're probably going to be tested on what's in the 107.
Exactly.
So now I know that there are certain people working on preparations for 107 and the test, but we really won't know until we have the test itself.
Yeah, so for example, limitations on how big your drone can be to do different things and whether there's that 500-foot bubble or not. I mean, I guess we know that's not in there now. We think maybe that will be in there. But those kinds of details is what you're referring to.
Yes, that is exactly.
And understanding what the 107 currently says, and then obviously adapting to what the final says when that comes out. Hopefully it's not too different.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what you're alluding to.
No, definitely. I think that, if you have the FAR AIM book, I've got one in my office next door that has all of the aviation regulations in them, and you can read them. Although, again, I don't think they're going to be as significant or as important as what's going to be in the 107 because we're seeing kind of a differentiation between how aircraft are normally defined versus drones, because otherwise I would say, there are certain parts that you should be reading in your FAR AIM book, like Part 41, 91119, which gives the definition of aircraft and airspace and where you can fly, where you can't fly, flying over congested areas. But understand the rules just aren't really quite there yet. Other things that you would want to be prepared to know is if you get in an accident, what are the procedures that you have to do? Do you have to report to the NTSB? Do you not have to report to the NTSB? If you have a lost link signal, do you have to report that in your monthly filing report? are there monthly refiling reports? And in the 107, there are not. So that's a trick question. So anyway.
And answer.
But anyway, no, I want to give people an idea because, you could be studying for something and everything be completely wrong and you would be further from the point of being prepared.
No, that's true. That's a good point. We don't want that. Well, let me put it to you this way. So you have taken your PPL test, right? And so you studied for that. And what did you use to study for that?
I used an application, but this application would not be available yet. In fact, I want us to make an application.
Right.
This is not available, but there's an application that gives you actual test questions for the FAA tests.
Right.
And it really just shows you what's going to be on there and how to prepare for it.
And at this point, the only way that somebody's going to be able to come up with that is to take the 107 and create questions out of the 107.
Exactly.
Right. So, but what I wanted to ask you is, would you recommend somebody, say Ryan, for example, just go use that app and start learning that information, or is that going to be overkill?
I think it's overkill.
Okay.
There's so much in here that just doesn't apply.
Right.
So much in here that doesn't apply. They're going to ask you questions about runway signs and what colored numbers mean what, and taxiway. There's a specific hold line on taxiways. They ask you about that.
All very important drone-related questions.
Oh, yeah. They ask you also how to map out a long distance flight. And for PPC, I believe it was like 10 miles or something was a long distance flight.
Okay.
So you had to learn how to actually calculate against the wind, with the wind. I don't think you're going to have to do that with
All
a
right.
drone.
So let's just state it another way, maybe an obvious way, and that is to say, and now this might be the third time we're saying it, but I'm trying to say it a different way to make it clear. That is, one could literally study the 107 proposed, and that would be like their study guide for what the test is going to include, at least generally
but that
speaking.
could change.
Understand.
So it's like, yes, with the caveat of it could change.
Right. But as far as what Ryan's wanting to do starting now, that's a good place to start, if not a great place to start.
Yes. So,
Okay.
In fact, now I probably will have more homework with Dronio. Hey, Paul, will you go through the 107 and come up with test questions for us?
Well, I don't know. We might be
add
able
that
to
to the
find
laundry list.
somebody else to do that.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
that's not rocket science, and we need your time on rocket science.
Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate that. I'm glad I could apply to rocket science. So.
There you go.
NASA, I'm looking to you. Anyway, this is a great question because we don't even know where the testing centers are going to be. Are they going to use the CAT centers? Is it going to be an online test? I really hope it's an online test again, just because it would really streamline the process.
Sure.
I think that's the best that one could really do. Again, know the airspace, aeronautical basic knowledge, understanding how to talk to airport towers, and you've got to know the alphabet. In the different alphabet, the aviation alphabet. So don't make the mistake of me when I said H stands for helo, it's hotel.
And you got murdered for it.
I did. Alpha Bravo. I almost got started with Charlie before Bravo. Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot Hotel. I'm gonna stop there.
All right, good idea. He could do the rest.
Oh, it's just memorizing, and right now my amount of time for memorizing, even when I took that test, the time I had to put in to study for that test, it just murdered my sleep schedule. So
yeah, so that's, I guess, the curse of the cram, right? You cram it all in, and then over time it leaks out.
That happens
It's inevitable.
either way. Yeah.
Well,
even if you study slow, it's just going to be a slower regression of information. So
yeah, and everybody's different as far as that's concerned as well. So can you just be very, very clear about the book that you referred to?
Yeah, it is. I'm just going to go grab it.
Okay. In that office? If it doesn't have a beacon, we're not finding it.
guys are ready.
All right.
So in that book, there is every regulation you could possibly want to know. But even when you go through your pilot's exam, they like make you tag pages essentially that will give you, heads up on, we're going to learn about this, we're going to learn about that. You'll need to know this for your check ride. You'll need to know this for your check ride. So, but we don't have any of that information yet for 107. It's
Right.
still all up in the air.
Okay, but you would still recommend that somebody spend time in that book? Are there maybe chapters of the book that one could get into the table of contents and
Again,
see?
airspace, reporting accidents.
Safety? Is there anything on safety?
Dude, that is just all over the place.
Yeah.
And it depends also on the type of aircraft because things are broken down by the type of aircraft. I think we've given them everything they could possibly need to know in order to study until we know more.
All right.
So
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us today. Are you ready for 107? Do you think it'll really come out in June or do you think it'll come out later? It'll be interesting to know. Will it actually be what we saw back in the day or will the 107 change? Who knows? We'll find out and we'll stay on top of it for you. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, go to askdroneu.com and upload them there. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
I'm Rob.
This is Ask Drone U.
We believe that videos, images, words, and sounds have the absolute power to inform, inspire, and entertain. We reject indecision, confusion, and vanity, for they work against the community. We are united under the virtues of safety and knowledge. We are a training community of learners and teachers who encourage and energize each other to achieve greatness. We are pilots, videographers, photographers, freelancers, business owners, enthusiasts, experts, and apprentices. We are creators. We are the Drone U.